you will have a slump this year.
Level. This is why.
Okay guys, so for our next video, I wanted to talk about something that all of us as hitters go through at certain points in our career. Maybe you've never had this happen to you in high school. It will certainly happen to you in college, and if you make it to pro ball, definitely will as there. So what I wanted to talk about is when you're going through that slump, strategies to get you out of it as fast as possible. What happens with most guys is they get into that slump, they start thinking really negatively. When is this going to end? I'm never going to be able to break out of this. My season's going to get all messed up because now I'm over my last 15. And so they keep focusing on the negative and the things that are going wrong instead of, one, trying to be proactive and finding solutions, but also understanding that this is just part of baseball. You are going to go through a slump. No one goes through a season where they don't go through a period where they're struggling. It's the guys that are able to get out of it and not focus too hard on it and kind of relax that are able to kind of minimize those slumping periods. So the first strategy, and this is something my dad would always ask me if I was not hitting well at the plate. How are you seeing the ball? Now, what does this mean? So we all as hitters, you know, you go through phases where, man, you're not picking up spin, you're not tracking the ball that well. And he would always ask me that because his thought was, if you're seeing the ball well, you're pretty close to kind of being all right. Because if you're seeing the ball well, you're still taking your walks, you're not chasing pitches and kind of swinging at pitches that you're getting yourself out on. We've talked about that in the past, you know, making sure the pitches you're looking for in your approach are the ones you're attacking, and you're not going after pitches that you're not hunting. But seeing the ball means, all right, you're seeing the ball fine. Like, you're seeing the ball really good. So let's look at some other strategies that can get you out of that slump, which kind of brings me to number two, which number two is adjustments. Now, we're not just going to go for any adjustment, something I saw on Instagram or anything like that, because this is the thing, guys. All your swings are unique. I mean, there's not one swing that is perfectly exactly alike. And so if you see, you know, a drill on Instagram where a guy goes, this drill helped me get out of a slump, the reality is it's probably not going to help. There may be some kind of, you know, thing in it where you feel confident because you're doing well in the drill, but really in your mechanics, it's probably not going to do anything for what's causing the issue. So what I would always do is get an idea for, okay, where are my misses? When I'm putting the ball in play, am I late? Am I out and around it? And, you know, am I getting blown up inside? Am I jammed on everything? Am I swinging a lot of stuff in the dirt? You have to figure out, okay, where are my misses? And for me, when I was struggling, usually I was getting out and around it. A lot of ground balls in the 4-hole, right to the second baseman or to the first baseman, getting around the baseball. And so what I would try to do is, because I'm getting out and around, I still want to be out front, so I'm still thinking early, but I'm fighting to stay inside the baseball, okay? I'm telling myself, hit the inside part of the baseball, because that's going to allow me to kind of let it get a little bit deeper. Don't get around it. So whatever your miss is, if you're missing underneath and you're getting straight underneath it, and again, you have to understand the difference between a pop-up where you're chopping and just clipping the bottom, or you're missing underneath big time and kind of clipping it down there. Those are two different things. So watching video, figuring out what it is, but like, let's say you're getting way underneath and just kind of hitting the very bottom of the baseball a lot. Well, you may want to think swing down. Hey, in BP, I'm going to think swing down. In BP, I'm going to think swing down. Create that muscle memory. Whereas vice versa, if you're getting a lot of just hitting ball straight into the ground and you're getting that kind of chop clip at the bottom that goes straight up in the air, now try to swing up. Think swing up. So the adjustments, this is going to be based on what your misses are. Because you should have, for most guys when they're struggling, there's a consistent miss. If I'm just really late, tell yourself to be early. I mean, tell yourself to be ridiculously early. I told you guys the stories about Jose Bautista when Vernon Wells said, dude, you're late. Next at bat, be so early it's uncomfortable. And he said that one adjustment changed his entire career. So in adjustments, guys, in baseball, they need to be exaggerated. I remember one time I wanted to move my hand. I felt like my hands were a little too low, so I was in the game. I felt like my hands were up here. I mean, I felt like I was Craig Counsell at the plate. And then I actually had a great game. And I go back to watch the video after the game, and my hands had gone from like right here to right here. But it felt like this massive change in the game. So any adjustment you need to make, because we take so many at-bats, you got to exaggerate it. Here, and number 3, and I think this is the most important, guys, so please remember this if you're not remembering anything else. But it's just the idea of relax. Don't take it too seriously. The guys that I played with over my collegiate career, my professional career, the guys that had elongated slumps were guys that, you know, they're in a slump and that first at bat comes up in the game and they strike out or they ground out and they walk into the dugout and they're defeated. Guys, this game is about just forgetting what's in the past. You can no longer control it. There's nothing you can do about it. The only thing it can do is make you worse and affect how you're going to hit or play defense in the coming innings. If you learn to relax in this, you got to embrace this, guys. And I talked about this in our video about embracing failure. You will have a slump this year, especially if you're in college at a high level, if you're in pro ball. You will have a slump this year. Embrace it. It's coming. I promise you it's coming. At one point in my career, I was 0 for 28 in AA in the first month of the season. I thought I had forgotten how to hit. But even in that slump, every day I came to the park saying, I'm getting out of it today. But if I didn't, it wasn't the end of the world. It was not the end of the world. And eventually, end of April, I get a couple hits, and then by the end of May, I'm hitting over 300 because I didn't allow the slump to just destroy and derail the rest of my season. That's not easy to teach. That's not easy to learn. You have to embrace the fact that you will have a slump. And every day I remember thinking, I'm going to break out of this. You know, it may not be today. It may not be in a couple days. I will break out of it. And when I break out of it, I'll be back to myself and I'll be fine. So guys, really the most important one here, please, when you're going through a slump, understand everyone does. You're not, and here's a strategy that I did in professional baseball and in college. Pick out a guy on the other team. I promise you, there's always a guy on the other team that's got worse numbers than you. I remember hitting, struggling early in AAA, one of my maybe second or third year in AAA, and Trace Thompson was struggling, and he was playing for Oklahoma City, and he was hitting like 0-20. I mean, in like 100 at-bats. I'm not kidding. He had like 2 hits and 100 at-bats. It was something crazy. Obviously, he ended up playing in the big leagues for a good amount of time, but just had a terrible start to the year. And so it was always like, yeah, I'm hitting like 190 right now. Man, but he's hitting 0-20. And that strategy for me, against anybody I played with, there was always a guy who was doing a little bit worse than me. And so it allowed me to be like, you know what? This sucks right now, but he's got it worse off than me. And it was that perspective that allowed me to detach from the struggle and just continue to play and know I was going to break out of it. So I hope these help, guys. Obviously, let me know in the comments what you think about it. Really appreciate all the support you got in the video. Again, if you're looking for help like this or through the recruiting process, getting in touch with coaches, stuff like that, go to our website, EliteSportsAdvising.com. On the front page, fill out that eval request. We'll meet with you, talk about where you could potentially get to in schools and what we can offer you. And if it's a fit, we'd love to work with you. So do that. Like and subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications. Turn on that notification button with the bell, and we'll have another video coming tomorrow.